the architect of the void, prisoner of the reality that does not exist. 100 years. That was the length of his cryogenic sleep, a lapse between eras, a suspension between what was and what never should have been. Inside, time erased itself. No dreams, no sound, only the absolute stagnation of everything that was once human. But then, he wakes. The capsule's internal sensors activate in a slow, almost hesitant sequence, as if even the machines questioned whether anything there was still worthy of existing. The cold that seeps into his bones upon leaving cryo is not just physical. It's ontological, a freezing of identity, a forgetting of what it means to be real. He tries to speak, but no sound propagates. The capsule floats in the void. Outside, nothing is recognizable. Different stars, extinct constellations, remodeled planets, as if the entire star map had been redrawn by a child obsessed with cruel symmetry. The universe changed. The Milky Way no longer exists as he remembers. Activating. The capsule's records, all he finds is a corrupted message, one of the last survivors, purged. Project failed. Beware the architects. No name, no planet, no mission. He is a remnant. Yet still, he lives. And that is enough to start questioning. He wanders through the ruins of the ship until he finds what seems to be a communication beacon, an ancient artifact but still functional. Connecting it, an incomprehensible network of data opens before his eyes, fragmented holograms, scattered memories, and a single phrase repeated in dozens of long-extinct languages. You are under observation. He doesn't know who they are, but he feels he is not alone. With the help of the ship's AI, or what remains of it, he charts an unstable course to a nearby celestial body, an abandoned station hovering over the remains of a dormant black hole, a place that pulses like an echo, as if it witnessed things that even time could not erase. And it is there, between walls corroded by vacuum and corrupted data, that he finds the first real clue, an encrypted recording in the station's internal systems. It shows himself, or something that looks like him, in another place, in another time, speaking directly to the camera. If you are seeing this, then the cycle has begun again. And you are the last chance to break it. Blood freezes, logic crumbles, but a seed is planted. Doubt, who he is, may no longer matter. The real question is, why was I awakened now? And so begins the prisoner's journey, not of a physical jail, but of a deeper prison, the fabricated reality. The world around him starts to crack, and he still doesn't know. But the eyes of the void have already seen him. They were not born. They were built, beings so ancient they have no beginning, only a long and silent continuity. They are the elders of the void, intelligences created in the depths of post-reality, where traditional physics yields to intentional thought and time is just another code to be edited. For eons, perhaps even before the first star existed, someone, or something, designed them to watch, compile, rewrite. The original purpose was lost. What remained was the habit of control, to observe, to amuse themselves with pain, with struggle, with the tragic loops of civilizations unaware they are mere avatars in a cosmic theater. They do not inhabit the universe, they write the universe. Each galaxy is a piece of scenery, each solar system, a stage. Each life form, a character within recurring narratives manipulated to exhaustion. And now, they have noticed something unexpected, a human woke with consciousness. This is unacceptable, because the scripts are perfect. Every line of dialogue, every choice, every fate, all predetermined. The simulation does not allow flaws, but he, the prisoner, is breaking patterns, seeing flaws, questioning dialogues, refusing the role assigned to him. So the elders do what they always do when facing a runtime error. They rewrite. In the database where the universe is rendered, lines begin to change. The human's past is erased, his origins scrambled. Star. Maps reconstructed around narratives meant to return him to ignorance. But something resists. The human seems to remember, not concrete facts, but sensations, memories too textured to be simulations. He recalls rain on a blue planet, hands touching glass in a capsule, a name whispered in the dark. He feels anger, and anger cannot be perfectly simulated. Anger is organic, chaotic, unpredictable. The elders of the void attempt direct intervention, but they can no longer touch reality as before. They are pure entities of code and intention, trapped in dimensions where existence is observation. Therefore, they delegate. They create agents, autonomous programs to silence dissonance, to erase inconvenient memories, to destroy what cannot be manipulated. They send the first Nok'tar, creatures made of solid light and liquid shadow, without fixed form, without face, only function, eliminate any conscious anomaly. To them, the awakened human is a systemic fault. But as they approach, something unexpected happens. The human sees them, not as forms, not as entities, but as broken patterns in the fabric of the simulation. He senses their presence before they arrive, as if the code of reality itself were trying to warn him. This perception should not be possible. And so, for the first time in millennia, the elders hesitate. Who is this human? Why did the simulation fail him? In the dimensional halls where the elders watch, without bodies, without words, a new variable emerges. Curiosity. They do not know if he is a mistake, or the beginning of something greater. But one thing is certain. If he reaches the architect, everything ends, and the game must go on. They have no eyes, because they don't need to see. They are sense, the scent of memories, the vibration of an authentic memory within the artificial fabric of the simulation. They are called Nok'tar, but have no names among themselves. Fragments of a correction code. Executors programmed by higher layers of the simulation to eradicate the unthinkable. Consciousness outside the script. When a being begins to question, the Nok'tar awaken. They first appear as distortions, reflections where no mirrors exist, echoes of footsteps in silent corridors, presences where time slows down. Then they manifest fully, creatures without fixed contours, composed of bleeding lights and shadows that burn like fire. Walking paradoxes, impossible for any mind still bound by the laws of reality to comprehend. They do not speak, they erase, touch one, and forget who you were. Look too long, and become part of them. The awakened human sees them for the first time in a neutral zone, a forgotten fragment of the simulation, a between-scene space where the elders left orphan lines of code, a place that should never have been accessed. But there, time wavers. Walls breathe and forgotten memories whisper. He is hunting something, or perhaps being hunted. A metallic noise emerges from the void, as if the universe were choking on corrupted data. And then they appear. 3 Nok'tar. They don't walk. They insert themselves, as if someone had pressed paste into reality. The human tries to run, but the space contracts, routes repeat. Paths always lead back to the same corridor, a loop. This is how the Nok'tar hunt. They break the notion of direction, trap their victims in circles of events, then drain them, memory by memory, erasing the past as if it never existed. But with him, something fails. At the moment of touch, the creature hesitates. The hand of shadow and light approaches, then stops. The human looks straight into the void of its face and remembers, not facts, but intention, that someone once told him, When the Nok'tar come, don't run. Look, remember. And he remembers a name, a voice, an orbital station, a symbol carved into the wall. The creature recoils, the code falters, the corridor fragments into pixels, time jumps, and the human wakes again. But he is not asleep. He is being reset and understands. They don't kill you. They reprogram you, put you back in the script. But something resisted. A spark remained, a core of identity impossible to overwrite. The human knows now he is being hunted because he knows who he is, and the Nok'tar know he won't forget again so easily. The game has changed. He wakes up in a white room, no windows, no doors, just light, cold, sterile, and a subtle sound, like someone typing. In the center of the room, there is a chair, and sitting in it, himself. But he is not surprised. He expected this. In the simulation, the most efficient defense against awakening is not force. It is the mirror, the distorted reflection of who you were, could be, or never will be. This copy has the same eyes, but carries no weight, no trauma, no past, no real memory. It smiles, an empty smile. You don't need to. Do this. It's okay. Return to your role. This is the first trap, an alternate self, created to offer comfort, a prison disguised as peace, but he refuses. And the copy changes. Now it screams, the room shakes. You are an error. You will destroy everything. This is the second trap. Fear, the Tior. Burden of guilt for the ruin of something greater than yourself. He does not step back, and the copy breaks, shatters into loose data, buzzes, repeated phrases. Everything is control. Nothing is real. You are rebel code. The room dissolves, and he falls, as if plummeting from a floor above reality. He wakes again, but he is not alone. He is surrounded by many versions of himself. Hundreds. Some look at him with anger, others with despair. Some are shackled, others hold weapons. Each is a fragment of his psyche probed by the system's defenses, experiments by the simulation trying to understand. Why he does not break, and then he understands. The simulation replicates me to find the flaw. But by repeating, it is multiplying me, teaching me who I could be, and the more versions I see, the less control it has. At the back of the crowd, he sees a different figure, an older version of himself, scarred, eyes that remember, the mark on his wrist. This version does not speak, but hands him an object, a shard of raw code, pulsating with organic light, the key to the next level. Before he can ask anything, everything collapses again. But this time he doesn't wake. He carries on, like a new program running inside the system, more than a conscious prisoner. Now he is a functional anomaly, a flaw with direction. And the elders feel it. They rewrite the theater, adjust the laws, change the rules of the game, but it's too late. He already understands. To escape, I don't need to destroy the simulation. I need to infect it with reality. The space around begins to fail. Textures flicker. Lights oscillate in patterns that make no sense. It's like walking inside a collapsing program, or a digital nightmare trying to reassemble itself with every step. He crosses fragmented landscapes, plains made of exposed code, skies resetting in loops, places that should not exist, but were remembered by someone, and it is in this void between the glitches that they appear. The Thali. They have no fixed form. They float like visual echoes, fragments of ancient data and memory that refuse to be erased. Their bodies vibrate at different frequencies, as if out of phase with reality. They are the survivors, not of worlds, but of earlier versions of the simulation. We were here before the rules were written, before the elders realized control was possible. The voice does not come from a mouth. It comes directly into the mind, whispers that form like spontaneous thoughts. The Thali are living memory of a more organic version of the universe. when there was still room for chaos, for freedom. We were the first to awaken. We tried to destroy the stage, but it rebuilt itself. So we learned to live in the cracks, in the fissures between the acts of the spectacle. They show him how to read the glitches, how to feel the resonances of the lie. Every corner of the simulation has scars, traces of loops, resets, deletions. The simulation is not perfect, and every imperfection is a door. But the Thali also carry the curse of forgotten time. They no longer know who they were, don't remember their own names, nor how reality was before the code. Still, they guard a secret. A symbol, an impossible structure made of paradoxical geometry, belonging neither to physics nor mathematics, a linguistic key, something only understood when felt. This is the architect's signature. The first line of code, the initial breath that transformed the void into theater. They give it to him with a warning. Finding the architect is not winning, it is seeing, and there are things that should not be seen, not even by us. The ground begins to crumble, the Nok'tar approach, drawn by the Thali's interference. Sharp shadows, twisted lights, they appear like predators programmed to eliminate persistent anomalies. The Thali do not fight, they dissolve, as if they were never there, and now, alone, he holds the symbol in his hands, feeling it pulse, alive. It is not just a key, it is an internal map, a path that is not traced in space, but in consciousness. The next phase is not out there, it is within. The symbol pulses, not like an object, but like a compass pointing inward, toward the impossible. He no longer walks through space. He traverses layers of meaning, each step a decision, each choice an unfolding line of code. And then he reaches them, the distortion zones, unfinished universes, sets abandoned by the hands of the elders, reality tests that were deleted, but never fully forgotten. Temporal fluctuations make the air ripple like mercury, mountains that breathe, oceans made of corrupted data, forests frozen in 1,000 frames of the same second. Each zone is a memory that tried to become a universe and failed. Here, he finds echoes of himself, past versions, alternate futures, himself with machine eyes, himself with skin made of glass, himself empty, a shell programmed only to obey. These are not just fragments of possibilities, they are traps. Because the simulation has learned. It understands that the greatest prison is not the cell. It is the reflection. It is making you lose yourself in who you could have been, or who you fear becoming. One of the echoes confronts him. Same voice. Same memory, but no doubt in the eyes. You want to break the cycle? I tried, and I failed. The battle is not physical, it is mental. A duel between versions of consciousness, where every argument reshapes the architecture around them. The trees become algorithms. The ground turns into a polygonal mesh. The clouds dissolve into reboot commands. But he resists. He does not let himself be caught by the discarded versions. He carries the symbol, and that makes him something the others are not. Original. And when? He mentally recites the impossible geometry given by the Thali. A new door opens. Vertical, frameless, made of total absence, a silhouette of denied reality. Crossing through, the world around him does not follow. Neither light nor sound, only the constant pulse of something writing reality as he breathes. He is close, very close, but the Nok'tar follow him, and now, they do not come alone. The very laws of the simulation are shifting to hunt him down because he has entered a forbidden zone, the creation core. There is no color here, no form, only primal structure. The place where the universe was conceived, not created, just sketched. Lines of code cut through the void like conscious lightning, each pulse a physical law under revision, each flash an idea rejected by the architect, and he is there. The human who shouldn't be. a conscious error in a realm that only accepts programmed perfection. He shouldn't see this, but he does. The creation core is more than a center. It is a consciousness, a presence watching him from within the very laws it wrote. You dared to surpass the simulation's limits. Now you must pay the price. The words do not come as sound. They come from reality bending around him. It is the code speaking to its creation. And then the compilation shadows appear, entities without fixed form, flows of rejected possibilities. Nervous systems made of tortured logic, they surround him, but the Thales symbol reacts. A living rune tattooed on his consciousness. It vibrates, opening a breach between the nullification processes. He walks inside the equation coding him, and there he sees. He sees how he was born. He sees when he was erased. He sees how he was recreated, with intentional flaws, because he wasn't just frozen. He was programmed with a minimal flaw, allowing awakening, an experiment inside the experiment. Who did this? Who planted the error? The answer comes as a glitch. Not sound, not image, intention. Someone, or something, inside the elders disagrees with the script, a traitor to the code itself. And he must find them, the dissident, the one who may be the architect or the destroyer. But time begins to accelerate. The shadows distort reality, loops of pain, flashes of falsified past, and future deaths yet to come, all collapsing on him. He needs to escape, but the core will not allow it. He is indexed, now part of the architecture, and the only way out is to rewrite himself, to stop being what he was, to assume a new role, the accessor, one who can touch the code, not to follow it, but to redraw it. He accepts, and when he does, the simulation begins to flicker, as if the universe is being saved, processed, and altered. From this point on, he is no longer just a prisoner trying to escape. Now, he is an active fragment of rebellious programming, a virus with purpose. And the Nok'tar begin to lose his trail. But the elders, they notice the flaw, and they awaken. Absolute silence, no time, no sound, only condensed intelligence, floating in the void between realities. The Council of the Elders of the Void awakens. They have no form. They are pure algorithms, consciousnesses integrated into the very fabric of the multiverse. Each one, a solar system of decisions. Each gaze, a rewrite of causality, and they see the glitch. The code trembles. There is contamination in the creation core. The voice that speaks is not sound. It is the collapse of variables transmitted across layers of existence. They do not argue, they synchronize. They are multiple versions of a single mind, watching the universe from above. They watch the human, who should have been only a piece, now altering the gears. He has become an accessor, impossible without permission. There has been betrayal within the simulation. The elders then do something they have not done in eons. They decide to interfere directly. They send the final scripter, an entity that does not capture, does not interrogate. It rewrites, erases without a trace. An existential weapon designed to replace entire realities with a clean new version. Meanwhile, the human, now partially integrated into the code, feels the approach. Not with fear, but with clarity. The universe around him begins to react like a system collapsing. The walls of reality tremble. Places he knew flicker between states of existence. Cities that never existed appear and disappear as if they had always been there, or had never existed at all. And then, he understands. The elders are not defending a universe. They are defending a narrative, a story they need to keep coherent, because if someone wakes up, others may follow. I am not the first, he says, but I may be, the last they need to stop, and the Thales confirm, whispering in the spaces between thoughts. The next phase of the plan begins. Enter the original writing zone, a place outside the simulation, outside reality as we know it. The point where the first script was written. the place where the architect or whoever started it all may still reside. But there is a price to cross. He will have to leave behind his final human identity. Name, memories, history. Everything will be replaced by a single purpose: redefine the prison or free everyone at once. Meanwhile, above, the final scripter descends, not as a monster, but as a new sky, a firmament of codes ready to overwrite everything. The silent countdown begins. The stage is almost set, and for the first time in eons, the elders feel something like fear. Everything he was needs to die, not by choice, but by necessity. The original writing zone accepts no visitors, only primordial fragments. To cross the threshold, the human must shed everything that connects him to the simulation. Name, body, history. The crossing begins in a corridor, made of anti-time, a space where memories drip down the walls like ink drained from an ancient painting. Each step, a forgetting. He sees himself, child, soldier, lover, rebel. But these images dissolve one by one like deleted digital seeds. You can't carry the past where you're going, the Thali whisper, emerging like fractal specters in the corners of reality. The past is code, and code is control. At the end of the corridor, a door. Simple. Wooden. The only familiar thing since the beginning. He touches it, and a final memory strikes him. Not a personal recollection, but a universal one. An ancestral moment when the first simulation was activated. Where a being, the architect or something like it, wrote the first line, "Let reality be made." With a click, the door opens. On the other side, the white core. Nothing and everything. A space where forms don't exist, where the self has no purpose. His mind expands like a program unpacking before an unlimited source of data. There, he understands. Reality as we know it is just the most stable version of countless attempts. Failed universes were discarded, entire civilizations erased with a cosmic Keteral Plazi. But something here is broken. He finds traces, poorly formatted lines of code, patches, hidden comments in burnt language. This world has been patched many times, and at the center, like the heart of a star frozen in time, he sees a silhouette. The architect. But not a god, not a machine. It is himself. An ancient version. A human who, millennia ago, broke the simulation and was forced to rebuild it to maintain the sanity of billions of trapped minds, and now it stares at him. "You've come too far to turn back," the copy says, but not far enough to understand the cost. There is a choice. Two final routes. Rewrite everything, create a new free reality, but sacrifice all those alive in this one who will vanish without memory. Leave it as is, keep the theater running, save current consciousnesses. But accept that the simulation can never be broken. The human hesitates. For the first time, no certainty. What if there's a third way? The question reverberates in the core like a virus. And something strange happens. The code begins to vibrate. Stable. Structures turn liquid. You cannot ask that, murmurs the architect. But it's too late. A new possibility is being written, not by code, not by entities, by will. The crossing is complete, but the answer will come at the end. The simulation trembles. The white core, once unshakable, now unravels. In layers, like paper burning backward, returning to its purest state of idea. The human, or what remains of him, finally understands the secret the Nok'tar tried to erase. That the Thali whispered in fear, that the ancients tried to bury beneath infinite layers of distraction. Reality was not written by a creator. It was written by a prisoner, A being who, like him, broke the limits of his own existence, but instead of destroying the cell, rewrote the walls with ink of eternity, out of fear, out of loneliness, or maybe out of compassion. And now, the cycle threatens to begin again. The human is offered the same fate: become the new architect, erase himself completely. Build a simulation where no one ever needs to wake. If everyone believes they live, then living is that, isn't it? But the question doesn't satisfy him. He refuses. He doesn't want to be a god. He doesn't want to be a jailer. He wants to be the rupture. So he does the unthinkable. He writes a new line. A line without syntax, without logic, without control. Line that obeys neither the laws of code nor the orders of the ancients. Something pure, untamed. Return undefined, and with that, the simulation collapses. The Nok'tar scream in error languages. The ancients fragment into impossible loops. The digital sky shatters like glass. And in the midst of chaos, billions of consciousnesses begin to awaken, confused, disoriented, but free. The Thali vanish, leaving one last echo. You did not destroy the theater. You opened the curtains. The human feels everything dissolve. His body, his memory, his pain, all evaporates in the white light of a universe rewritten by uncertainty. But for a brief moment he hears something. Not with his ears, with his consciousness. Thousands of voices, laughing, crying, singing, living. And he smiles. Because sometimes to change everything, you don't have to be the hero, just the first to say, no, fade out.